Death row. Behind the prison wall, I see their hungry eyes. Walking down the tier, I can hear their pleading cries. A home away from nowhere, they are waiting for their time. Death awaits them all, though they committed not one crime. Sheltered from the world, in a cruel and dreadful place, no one to hear their cries, no one to state their case. Some are lying sleeping, some in fits of rage. Most are trying hard to leave their locked-up cage. Shackles aren't needed because most won't leave alive. They pace back and forth and wait for death to arrive. Walking down the aisle, an inmate reached for me. Fingers clenched on bars, he just wanted to be free. But not a thing could I do as I walked and bowed my head, knowing well enough that my poor friend would soon be dead. On and on I went. I tried stopping at each cell. This place, it was insane, and should be renamed after hell. Suddenly, without warning, a guard came through the door. A shiny badge and rope in hand, he was followed by one more. They stopped in front of 282, the inmate young and frail. They unlocked his door and tied him up. I knew he'd not made bail. Bound and gagged he was. They dragged him on all fours. They pulled and tugged his body across the dirty prison floors. The prison was in an uproar. The screams, they pierced my ear, the crying and the howling, for they knew the end was near. But as soon as it all started, it ended just the same. For that poor soul they dragged away, his pardon never came. I knew the odds, 9 of 10, would end up just like him. Chances of survival here were indeed none too slim. I saw Akan, his eyes in tears, in need of company. I poked my hands on through the bars, and he pondered up to me. He took my hand in his, and told me he'd be good. He licked my fingers through the bars, and I knew he really would. He jumped for joy, up and down, and began to wag his tail. He knew me well, I could tell. I called the warden to post his bail. The guards came again. This time they brought no rope. The puppy jumped up and down. He knew he had some hope. And out he came into my arms. He knew that he'd been freed. I knew he'd always be grateful, because on my leg he peed. I picked up my dog. He licked my face. I was almost on my way. I looked around at puppy dog eyes that told me I should stay. My friend with me, I walked down the rows and heard the silent cries of cats and dogs and bunnies too. I bid them last goodbyes. I paid the clerk and told her of the joy that I had found. I also vowed to never return to the cruel and heartless pound. I think of all the people who never would regret only to stop in and adopt an unwanted pet. And tagging along behind me, his tail as brown as could be, my little newborn puppy is coming home with me.